You don't get to be funny. And if you can't be funny, then you're not free. And so when we can't tolerate our comedians, it's like, well, there you go. They're the canaries in the coal mine as far as I'm concerned.
What? No. Okay, what's a lawyer going to come in and tell us? To not send out hilarious emails or not tell jokes?
Maybe not. Some of them, maybe not inappropriate ones.
There is no such thing as an appropriate joke. That's why it's a joke.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm JP and I got my brother here.
Peter, right here.
And we are the Pinedo Brothers filmmakers. Welcome to our podcast. In it, we're talking about how we're trying to revitalize the world of Catholic art, one indie film at a time. We've got a great guest today, Emeka Okonkwo, a great friend of mine. Emeka, thank you for joining us.
Oh man, dude, thanks for having me, guys. Good to see you guys again, to be honest. Yeah, Peter, I haven't seen you in a long time, Peter.
I know, it's so good to see you.
It's been a bit. We met Emeka, Peter and I met Emeka first at our church, our parish back in Los Angeles when we were still living the Vida Loca. Emeka is still doing it. Pray for Emeka, please, everyone. Pray for him.
I don't know if you can say I'm still living it because we're still pretty much indoors, if you can, so it's.
You guys are still locked down in LA? Not
really. Things are beginning to open up. You can't, I think it is one thing I learned from the pandemic is we are meant to have human contact.
Yeah.
And I think after a while, California was like, man, screw it. We're going outside. So people started going outside before the governor was like, oh, you know what? I think it's time to go outside. But we're like, yeah, too late. We're already outside.
Yeah. Peter left in December of last year. We left, my wife and I and a little baby, we left in February. So people were pretty well locked up when we left, but I'm glad to hear that they're opening up now.
No, they're opening up. Yeah.
So folks, just so you know a little bit about Emeka's background, he's an extremely talented computer engineer who is also an extremely talented comedian, stand-up comedian, also a comedian that we've worked together quite a bit in short skits. We've written projects together. So I'm really excited that we get to try and tackle this problem about how do you tell a joke in a woke world? And we'll get to that. Hopefully we can answer this question together. But in the meanwhile, just to kind of get us to that point, Emeka, how did you get started? What drew you to comedy? What was the synapses firing in your brain that made you want to do this difficult, incredibly challenging profession?
Oh man, okay. So first off, I'll say this: I grew up in Nigeria. If you can't tell from my accent, so I grew up in Nigeria, and I know it's not woke to say this, but the three people that I kind of looked up, like not I won't say look up to, but I saw something in that I saw myself in were Eddie Murphy, Billy Crystal. It was actually four. So it's Billy Crystal, Eddie Murphy, Bill Cosby, and Fresh Prince. I know I can't say Bill Cosby now because,
Oh, hey, he's out now.
He's out now. Some people are mad about that, but I'm saying because it's like, I think my dad was a good storyteller. My dad is a good storyteller. I think my dad is one of the funniest people I know. My dad could tell you a tragic story, and for some reason you're laughing about it. But if you write it down, you'd be like, "That's not funny. That's actually sad."
What did he do? Was he? What was his profession? Was he an artist at all?
No, actually, he's Nigerian. He's not. He was mostly into business. He grew up in a generation of taking care of family, and his dad died when he was, I want to say 16, 17. And he's the oldest of seven kids. And so he grew up in that generation in Nigeria where you had to just provide for the family, and that's what you had to do. So it's like, because he did that and got successful in business, it gave me and my siblings the opportunity to, I guess, to dream, So I think if I came from a family where it was not, where I had to provide, like not just for me, my wife and kid, if I have to provide for like my siblings and my parents, yeah, I don't know if I would still have the opportunity to dream, because my mindset would have been like, okay, you need to just provide. So I don't know what it is. So growing up, I think what happened is, if I can remember, so I was 3 when my brother was born. Then I was 4 when my other brother was born. And so at that time, by 4, I already had 2 younger siblings. So I think my parents were more like, you can walk, you can take care of yourself. We have 2 kids. So I think comedy, humor kind of came. I started watching the Fresh Prince and like the Bill Cosby, and I'm like, oh my God, I like the way they could tell a story and the reaction of making people laugh. And I wrote one joke. I remember when I was 15, one joke, and I gave it to my brother, but I never said it was mine, because if I told him it was mine, there's something I've noticed. If I came up to you, James, I said, let me try this joke on you, you become a critic. But if I play it off and just tell you the joke, you become an audience and you enjoy the joke. So I learned that early with my brother. So if I told him this is what I'm working on, he goes, yeah, that's not funny, because now I've given him the seat of the critic. But if I just told him the joke, now he's sitting down there as an audience member, right? And that joke, he took it, because we went to 2 different boarding schools. So I gave it to my brother Brian. He took it to his school, and it killed. And he just telling his friends, and that's when I think from Nigeria, I was like, oh my gosh, I like this. I like the fact filmmaking. I love the idea of the creativity. Same thing with software. I like the idea of, I have an idea. I'm actually building something like Netflix right now, personally. But I like the fact that I have an idea, and I write it down, and you implement it, and it's right there. I like that whole process. It's the same thing with jokes. The idea, you think, oh my God, this is funny. This made me laugh. Let me see if I can go and paint the picture to people I don't know. And so when I was 16, I learned I started to try things that whatever makes me nervous, I force myself to like it. I force myself to do it regardless. The moment I say, I don't want to do this, I have to do it immediately before I change my mind. So before I say, before the rationalization of the rational part of me starts coming in, like, maybe you shouldn't do it. What if you fail? What if I just, no, just do it. So just go to grab the mic.
Nice.
And because if I bomb, what I've learned is the first step is always the hardest step. So even if I bomb, I come out going, oh my God, I actually freaking did it. I've done that, right? So just keep on doing that until the point where you get, I guess, numb to the bombing, you know what I mean? To the bombing, yeah. Yeah, but that's
and that path took you, so you were in Nigeria. How did it all of a sudden happen? We were meeting in Los Angeles. How did that path take you to there?
Long story short, so if you want to go to college in Nigeria, and if you say, God bless, if your parents were fortunate to afford to take you to study outside of the country, you have 2 options: London and United States. That's why all my siblings went to London. But and then I used to play football, which we call soccer here. And I was very passionate in either playing football or ending up in Hollywood. And I couldn't tell my dad that, because if I told my dad that, it would definitely be a no-no. So what I did is I had to sit down and do pros and cons. And I go, I really wanted to play football. So if I ended up choosing to go to England, I'll know how to chase the path. I'll follow the dream of being a footballer, like a soccer player. But if I ended up moving to America, I had to end up in California at some point. So it's just I think this is how much, because I love both of them equally, but the final decision was, wait for a second. The average football player career ends at that time 31, 32, right? But Anthony Hopkins at the time was like 70, 60. So I was like, I could keep on with acting, just keep on working on your chops, and and you keep on creating different stories. So yeah, and that's what made it easy for me to come to choose the path of coming to America. So after college, I worked at a job, and I got a job in Fairfax, Virginia. I worked that job for 3 months, and I got up and just drove my car back to Boston, and just like 2 weeks later, I moved to LA.
Wow.
Yeah,
You didn't know anyone. You just moved.
know anyone? I knew one person. The person I did stole my money and ran away. I went back to, man, bro. It was man.
What?
When I tell you something, dude. Oh, I don't know if we have time. Like my story coming to LA has been, everybody has that horrible story, especially when you're looking for apartments.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the things, like especially girls. I feel bad for girls. They have terrible, horrible stories looking for apartments. And so I had one of those, and I had a friend who I knew from college who came out here, and we're sharing an apartment. Something happened. He took like $650 was a lot of money for me at the time. And next thing you know, we're hanging out talking about something else. And I went to sleep, woke up the next morning, and my man was in Maryland. He went back to Baltimore. Never seen him again till today. It's been what?
Oh my gosh.
Never seen him today. So,
Folks, I'm not sure if you can see this through the webcam, but Emeka is built like a rock. He's not someone that you would want to be stealing. I wouldn't want to be stealing from you. So this guy was very foolhardy, very brave, very dishonest.
He was a very close friend of mine. He also played football, so he was just another big dude. But it's not even that. It was just, I would not, no matter who it is, because the way my dad, it's okay. There's one of my things that I've learned from my dad is, there's something he calls negative, like money is associated with, like, okay, so a few years, that's a different story. I don't want to go into that family story, but my dad doesn't believe in situations like that. If the money is tainted, he doesn't want to touch it, right? Like if he gave, I don't want to say that because there's a story I want to tell, but I don't think I should say it. But so that if there's a money, no, it's a okay. So because the money, because he took down, my dad, his mentality is more, oh, you owe me money and you dodging me, you don't want to pay me. Oh, that problem is gone. Like that person cannot come to you again and say, can you give me something? Does that make sense? So in a way, they bought your problem away, which is, when you're dealing with this person, he can't be like, oh, I'm in trouble, I'm almost dying, I need like $10. Like, bro, you still owe me $650, bro. So it's just don't hold on to that and just move on. It's just money, so
That sounds like a proverb there. I mean, you told it in a story, but I feel like it should be put in a proverb, or it already is, or something like that.
You know what? There might be a proverb that I don't know, but yeah, you do right. It does sound like it. I don't know. I don't know what the proverb would be, but yeah.
The proverb is, "Thou shalt not steal Emeka's money, or thou shalt be banned."
Or God might spite you. Because me and Jesus are like this, son.
Yeah. So, Emeka, getting back to the idea of comedy. So you're in Los Angeles, and maybe this has changed, but now that you're there and you've been in the comedy scene a bit, what do you see as the role of a comedian?
I like that question because I don't see it with a lot of, and I think that's why today, it gives me more confidence today to try to go back on stage, if that makes sense. Because if you go on stage right now, because the question you asked me, simple question, what do I think the role of a comedian is? I think the role of a comedian is just to be bold enough to paint reality, like to tell the story of what is real to them. I don't have to see it the way you see it, but I want to believe it's your reality, right? So you can use example of Rodney Dangerfield, who I think is the king of punchlines. Like nobody would, he's Rodney Dangerfield. Everything he said, you can if you write it down, you see. Oh, it says I ain't got no respect, no respect.
Mhm.
That whole thing he does. If you look at it, before he became famous, you realize he probably didn't get respect from ladies, from anybody, because of maybe the way he looks, or maybe he wasn't making as much money. We are laughing, and I think what we're laughing about is the relatability. Like once we relate to it, and I think that's the reason why I used to be a huge fan of Kevin Hart, and he should talk about his first 3 specials to me were the best specials. Today, not so much, just because I feel he's now out of touch. I think comedy, as a comic, you're supposed to be talking, whatever you say is true, because as long as it's true to you, guess what? There's a lot of people that it's relating to you, but they cannot say it for whatever reason. That's not their field. So they expect you to say it. There's one particular joke, one of the best jokes, which is still timeless, that Eddie Murphy told back in like 81. And he goes he'll say something about the first Black president in America better watch out. And he goes, because he has this thing where he's running around the stage going, because they would have to give their acceptance speech like this, like running around the stage. My fellow Americans, I just want to let you know, I thank you. Can you watch him? Can you watch him? Because like nobody, a white America wouldn't be happy to see the first black president. And the whole gig at that point is now the punchline there is you have the sniper going, he can't stand still. And coming from at 1981, you can see why that was very funny. And to me, I think that was very. It's not funny, but it's funny. It's funny because it's true. So I think a lot of days today, a lot of people saying we're trying to. A lot of comics, because I've started going back to do open mics, and a lot of people are so scared. I think a lot of those comics they have things they want to talk about, but they're afraid to get canceled before they even start, So everybody talks about this. It's just this meme. I don't know. It's like a self-deprecation type situation, and yeah. So it's almost like the same. Every comic that comes up says the same thing. It's not just fun.
That's not surprising to me, but it's frustrating because this world is, without a doubt, funnier than it's ever been.
Man, let me tell you something.
Everything happening. We had a president that I loved making fun of Trump. Like I'm not a comedian, but I still would mimic his voice. And now we've got a president that, our viewers, I don't know what side they're coming in on, but he's got maybe a quarter of the brain cells left that he had to begin with, if that.
Dude, so I don't know to cut you off, but did you see something that happened maybe like 2 weeks ago where they staged a press conference? With the press conference with the president, when they have the White House press conference, it's supposed to be, hey, random questions. I didn't know where the questions are coming from. I picked one reporter and I answered the questions they asked me. But my man had a list of going, okay, next person is James from CNN. Yes. Just let that slide. Just gonna let it slide off. All right.
No, there's one joke after another there. It seems like every day I read another headline, and then we've got a vice president who can't help but go into a Joker-like laughter whenever she gets asked a tough question. We've got there's people that are on both sides. It's like all this the tumult over a vaccine or not. If you want to have a vaccine, and everyone is so stratified. There's just so many jokes out
so
there.
Many jokes. I'm sorry to say this. This is my thing, right? I was saying to someone one time, I was like, if we want to be equal, we gotta be able to make jokes of everybody. Right? Because no one group is perfect. You know what I mean? I've met straight people who are a-holes. I've met gay people who are a-holes. I've met people who are a-holes. People are just, for the majority of us, are usually a-holes, to be honest with you. So, no, it's true.
People are people. I mean, you think about it, that we either want to go one way or another. Like the white race, for example, is terrible. Everyone is racist. Or those poor indigenous people, that Native Americans, they're so pure, they're saints, they're part of the. No,
Yeah.
it's not. Neither are correct. People are
Neither
people,
correct.
and there's a lot of bad and there's a lot of good that goes in that statement, that people are people.
Man, yeah, I'm telling you, man, you're profound. Because you just said something so simple, but yet it carries so much weight. People are people, and I totally believe in that. I think it's very disingenuous for us to try to paint one people as cool and one people as uncool. So I've had jokes where it's so funny. Like I'm so sorry, but there's a lot of things I could talk about today. Example. This guy that came in, this dude that came out and said, I'm sorry, this trans person that came back and wants to, the Olympian who got approved to be a bodybuilder in the Olympics. Did anybody hear that story, or is it just me?
Yeah. No, I heard that story.
I want to say this, and I want to thread lightly, but I want to get my point across. There's a lot of jokes there. There's so many jokes there. So many jokes there. Like, it's too easy. That's how many jokes are in there. Because it's the first thing I said was, because it's logic. It's simple. Isn't it funny that you see more trans women athletes trying to go into women athletes than you see more trans men athletes trying to go into male athletes? You hardly see someone who was biologically a woman who decides, or who, I don't want to say decide, who feels like she's a woman, who's like a man, and now she transforms into a man, going to male sports. You hardly see that. You only see a biological born man who's going through the process and is now a trans woman, want to play women's sports. And someone mentioned the other day, there's a reason why we have male and female sports. There's a reason. Yeah. Because if we could just call it sports. We could just call it.
Oh my gosh. Like, there needs to be a skit, like the daily dose of reality. I love what you were saying, how like correct me if I got it right, but a comedian's role is to basically just show the hilarity of the reality of the situation. Something like that, right?
I think that's for the most part. I think that's what it is. For me, I can speak for myself. The kind of comics that I like growing up as storytellers, like the Chris Rock and even Don Rickles. Like Don Rickles, the first time you hear him talk, you'll be like, "Oh, this man is an a-hole." But he just took on everybody's stereotype and he bashed everybody's stereotype. So and I think that's what it is, because it's what makes you. I've seen people make fun of me being African and everybody laughs, but God forbid I say one thing about maybe a gay person or a trans person, but everybody can have flaws that can be funny. It's and I think that's very, very. I think we I don't know. I don't know where that is going to take. Where that is going to lead us. I think it's going to the place where we are now of like disillusion. We're not treating people as equals. We're treating them as they can't take a joke. Yeah. As opposed to, it's fine, they can take a joke. Or, hey, there's a difference between bullying and cracking a joke. I'm not even, like what I'm saying with the gentleman or the person, oh my God, watch me. The trans person who is in the Olympics now, what I'm saying about him is not even attacking him. It's just saying, yo, what about the women? Like, like you're taking the spot from it. Actually, how about this? Let's have it forwards in the Olympics. You have, they call us cis now. So if you're born a male and you're male, they call you cis male. So what about we have, in the Olympics, we have cis male tournaments, cis female tournaments, trans male and trans women. I think that'll be fair.
Let's have like 15
Go
or
for that.
16 different Olympics at the end of this, right? It's just let's
Let's
just
just have let's just have it. You know what? That's not a bad idea. Every different month or 2-3 months, you can have different Olympics, and you just choose the one you want to watch.
yeah, let's see what people want to watch. That would be kind of telling, right?
Yeah, let's see what we want to watch. Let's just see that. So if you say, for instance, oh, this is all 6 male Olympics, all right. Then next 6 months you have all trans people Olympics. Now let's see what
I like this. I love this idea. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I didn't know that you were wanting to be a professional soccer player or considering it. I actually, growing up, was wanting to be a professional baseball player. Huge fan of baseball.
I know that.
And I want to start my own baseball league. I want to call it Juicers League International. Where it's because I think people want to see that, like, a guy that comes up that he can't turn around because he's just one large steroided up muscle, and see how far he can hit that baseball. Like, I think there's a market for that. Let's get all the steroided guys, and that's entertainment. I want to start my own baseball league.
I totally agree. So what are you saying? Is because I want to see what is it. What is are you saying that people who not like steroids has nothing to do with the baseball, or it's not the entire talent? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that baseball is not the entire talent, but also that these rules that people are putting into the game of baseball are lessening the entertainment value of the game. And right now, baseball cannot afford to be any less entertaining. And this is coming from someone who loves baseball, and yet they keep on trying to put in these rules that, okay, this game, everyone says it's boring, let's try and come up with a rule that makes it more boring. Maybe that'll fix it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. What I wanted to get back to, though, a little bit is so what is there anything that's off limits, though? So we're talking about like what the role of the comedian is. Should there be like boundaries?
Man, see, I think the audience should be the meter for the boundaries. I'll tell you how comics work. So Dave Chappelle put it best when he saw what how he felt with what Kramer, Michael Kramer, when he said the N-word at the Laugh Factory. Like, you can look it up. He's an N-word! Like, he was pointing to a black man. And that happened at the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles. And Dave Chappelle put it best. He goes, at that point, after watching that, I realized that I am maybe 20% black and 80% comic. Because the 20% black in him would go, man, I can't believe he said that. Oh my God, that's terrible. Man, that's hurtful. But the 80% in him, which is comic, goes, man, that dude was having a rough set. It's just having a rough set. And I think the thing people forget is once you're on stage, especially if you go, a lot of people are people. Human beings have emotions. If I'm on stage and maybe I'm not a veteran, or I don't have enough experience on stage as a comic, and if I have somebody who's heckling me, what do we do as most? Because you're standing on stage and all lights on you, so it's like fight or flight, right? Some people fight. Most people go defensive and fight. And once you start to fight, it's not a fair fight because you start to look for things that could hurt the other person. And one thing that could hurt any black person is saying the N-word, right? So if someone attacks you, you feel like, oh, I know if I say this for a fact, I'll get him, right? So do I know if Michael Kramer is racist or not? I don't know. I don't think so. So I think that's what it is in comic. I think you should try. I think everybody, this is America, you should try. Me personally, I would say, even you say the N-word if you want to on stage. But guess what? Maybe next time it might not be a show for me. But I think you should have the ability and the freedom for you to say it, to tell. But it has to be. I don't want to be able to say I want to. I think there's something, especially in comedy, where you want to censor or tell people limits of what they need to talk about. Because you don't give them the ability to let their mind run wide and try out things. Of course, it's going to be a-holes. But trust me, the audience will let them know. And that's why I give props to people like Andrew Schultz and some other comics who really, they just stood firm on being anti-woke. And Hollywood did not want to mess with them for a long time until they found out that they really have a lot of following because it's people like me who want to hear the anti-woke mess of the world. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's what it takes though. It's just once you start, be a rebel. It's as hard as it is. Have your points, your opinion. Don't make friends. Stand on it. Trust me, it's going to be hard, but I'm telling you, like I know people, the way you think, others are thinking like you, and they want to hear you. I don't like Steven Crowder. I don't like what he does. I think I think what he's doing is not good. I think he's an antagonist. I think the way he approaches his topic is it's more of it's to instigate, right? I'd rather listen to Ben Shapiro than Steven Crowder, right? And I think what he does is dangerous. But guess what? My man has about 3-4 million subscribers on YouTube. Those who want to listen to him, but don't approach me. You can fight me, we will fight. You know what I mean? So, but I listen to you, but have your feelings. Hate what you want to hate. But yeah, and that's what I think. I think we need to have. I think, yeah. But that's my opinion. I just think it has to be a situation where you have to allow a person to go free. And if it's not for you, then it's not for you. But the only way you find out is if you give that person the freedom to try.
You know, I have so many directions that I'd like to go with that, but I promised we would keep it around the 30 minutes, and I know we're over it now.
We can increase. That's fine with me. I just see saying time a minute, 4 minutes, but I'm good. We can increase it.
Well, how about this? I had an idea, and this is completely out of left field. So feel free to say no, but we're gonna broadcast what you say. So okay. I was thinking about what we're talking about, how people are scared to joke now because we're in this woke world, and they are not sure of what they can say. And our initial question, how do you tell jokes in a woke world? What I just heard you say was, well, you just say them. You say the joke. And if it's funny, then you keep saying it and people will tell you if it's funny. So I was wondering, what would you think about if you have a set that you want to try out, like if you see some bit of reality and you want to try it out, because we stream live, you know, we're not streaming live for this one, but most of the time we do stream live. What would you think? You want to come on our podcast and like bring it out to the world?
I could do it. I could do it. Oh man.
And this is completely like on your own time. Like if you have some like bit of reality you want to drop to, you know, whoever's listening to our podcast, we would love to have Emeka, the Emeka minute or the Emeka 5 minutes or whatever it is that you're thinking about.
Yeah, I don't know if it's your because I tell a few dirty jokes too. I tell a few penis jokes.
Tell them. So, I'll just tell my dad not to listen to that one. For that podcast.
Wait, your dad has a penis. He gets it. But yeah, I'm game for that. I'm game. I think it'll be a good for me to get back on. I think doubling down is the way to go. You just have to say it. And
it's crazy because it sounds like you believe in freedom. That's not allowed.
I know, but that's the thing. I do believe in. but that's me. I don't have this thing like, if you don't like me, say it, tell me. But for instance, if I live in this apartment complex and you say, I don't like him because he's black and I want him to move up, nah, you move out. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like me enough, I'm gonna be here, and you're not. And if you threaten me,
Yeah.
or if you try to maybe put my life in danger in any way, then we can talk about it. You know, I really feel comfortable if it's one-on-one. We can talk about it. But I don't think, I don't believe in, because once you start to censor people and like monitor people, and these are grown-ups, you know. So I totally believe in, like, if you want to be free, be free. Choose your poison. There's a joke. I want to say this. There's a joke Jimmy Fox did a while ago in '95 that made me laugh. He told a joke. He goes, in Africa they got drive-bys now, and I laughed for like 10 seconds. Then I realized, wait, you're African. Another thing I feel like a lot of people do that is very, very interesting is we, especially as a Black person in America, because I was speaking from my POV, what happens is I can't question anything anymore, right? Because the moment I question anything, the other person's rebuttal is always, imagine, what about slavery, right? So if I said, for instance, like I had a conversation with someone, and one of my friends who is still is a writer for a TV show now, and you know he's playing the Hollywood game. So I've known this since like 2011, when I first came to California, and I know him. I know him. We've had discussions before, but now he's in Hollywood. Like, he's actually getting money, so he's now playing the game. I know that's not his belief, but he has to defend his belief. Like, you know, he has to play the game. So here now,
it's the company line, right? You toe the company line.
You toe the company line, exactly. And because, you know, with Hollywood, you've been here, everybody's so scared to, you know, like I used to do casting director workshops. I had a manager, had their own workshop. I had my agent had his own workshop. And we used to do all this stuff. And there's a lot of fear. Oh, don't say this. Don't look like this person. When this person walks by, don't do this. And I'm like, after a while, that's what made me go, you know what? I just think my best bet is to sit down, bring money, however long it takes, create my own stuff, and let the people decide. So I can grab my people, as opposed to, and things are changing now. You know, like the 4 or 5 networks cannot call shots the way they used to call shots.
No.
But guess what?
No.
But guess what? This is how you know humans are humans. Netflix, that used to be for the underdog, is now the bigger dog.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So Netflix now can tell you, oh no, you're not there. So you now have to paint your way, and so you can smooch around Netflix or the Amazon Prime people, you know what I mean, to get your stuff out there. And anyways, but I think it's when going back to my friend, I'm not going to say his name. I know what his thought was, but what we were talking about, and I was saying, the question I asked was, okay, I understand. Let's talk about, since I was talking about the trans gentleman earlier, my thing is, okay, if he wants, you do realize that if someone who was born a male wants to be called a female, I can accept that, fine. But what do you think I think in my head? You know what I mean? Like, what do you think I'm thinking when I see that person? I'm not thinking. In my mind, it's still, I still believe he's, as long as he has a penis between his legs, I still believe he's a he. I'm gonna tell you what makes you happy, but are you allowed to force my thoughts? You see what I'm saying? And what they always go is, imagine if you were as a Black person, you want to say the N-word. I'm like, okay, let's break this down. I call my father, who I love and respect, I use he, him, right?
Mm-hmm.
My mom, she's a she and she's a her, and I love her. how is me saying you, James, as a he? How is that hate? If it's something I call my parents that I love. Does that make sense? So as opposed to N-word, the N-word that was designed, it was never like N-word was a word that was good. It was good at one point. Then it became like this negative derogatory word. But that's my point. So it's my whole idea is, yeah.
That's interesting because what I'm hearing you say is if you start to make everything and anything offensive, then even that which is truly offensive is no longer really offensive. It's all cheapened down to.
It's all cheapened, and and there's nothing nobody else can touch. And where is the jokes? Like you can't even say the F word now, and not F-U-C-K. You can't say fat. That is offensive. You can't call somebody fat because it's a way the patriarchy or the matriarchy or whatever word they use these days that has been used to oppress people. I'm like, how? How? I don't know. So it's stuff like that. So whatever offends you, let's create a group around it. That is funny in itself, but I can't talk about how that is funny. Like that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Like, oh, it's like
there's so many jokes to be had. It's all one big joke now.
If all my friends in college are studying and I'm not studying, burning the midnight candle, and they're like, "Emeka, you're gonna get all F's and D's." I'm like, "Don't worry, I got this." And I get all F's and D's. I can go up to the professor and be like, "That's discrimination. I don't like that F's and D's. Why? Because it's a way to put me down." Like, how? I just feel like it, and there's no justification. Change it. So where do we draw the line? And one joke I was saying about, there's a joke I was, this is one of those jokes I know is gonna hurt, that people are not gonna like it, but I have to find a way to say it and stand on my ground, which is, if I'm saying something like, because there's no way to say, if I decide to come out and say I'm a female, there's nothing. It's just I just said I am and you are, right? So if a woman says something wrong to me, and right as I swing my hand and I'm about to punch, I'm like, by the way, I'm a woman. Pow!
Female on female. Nothing wrong with that, right?
Nothing wrong with that. 24 hours later, I'm a man now. So, but
you got to speak truth to power, right?
So what my question is, what are we doing? You know, and if somebody's trying to say, hey, I don't care if you think you're a man or you're a woman, you still hit a woman who you are biologically bigger and stronger than. I'll be like,
yeah.
Instead of looking at the woman who just got hurt, I'm saying, oh my God, you hurt my feelings. I'm the one who hit her, but I'm like, you hurt my, forget her, she's bleeding, I get it. But what about me?
Look at me, guys.
How is that? That's a joke. It's funny.
It is. It is. And you know, the tragic part of that is that women are like being abused by this. This is for real, something that you know, because I heard about the story how women are getting put now in same cells with men that are saying that they're a woman, and they're saying like, look, he's like, this guy who's got a penis and who's like 5 times as big as I am, has trouble. Like, he's trouble for me. So anyway, my wife will kill me if I don't cut this off here. I got to go help her with the baby. But Emeka, I hope that we can have you come back on our podcast whenever you're ready.
Let me know. I mean,
absolutely.
Let me know. We can always.
We'll let you know. We'll hook it up. We'll talk more about it later. But in the meantime,
just add one more thing before you go. I want you to go, when you get up there, look at a woman. Just on what we're talking about, look up. There's a story that came up this week about a female who called out, because in the gyms are open now. She called out a trans woman who is walking around in the trans woman in the female bathroom in the gym with her schlong. I don't even know how to say her. Her penis is just flapping everywhere, and everybody come out, and people are going, "But it's a woman," you know. So you should look at that. I think that goes to what you're saying. And it's like
Jokes. Like, the only way that you can deal with this is you joke about it. Otherwise, it's too tragic.
I agree. And jokes are really truths that we all listen. Everybody has that boss that every day they go to work, they go, today might be the day. He said the wrong thing to me. I'm gonna lose everything. Today might be the day. We all have that, but we're not gonna say it until one person goes on stage and says that. Then immediately we all relate to one particular boss that we have. I have one. His name is Subhash. Like everybody has one name.
Yep.
Somebody says, and that's what I feel like jokes are. I hope they don't take that away.
Well, you know what? I think there's one thing we can take away from this conversation is that how do you tell jokes in a woke world? You just say them louder. You say them louder. Like that's how you say it in a woke world. Yeah. You just keep on, and if you will find people that will laugh at reality. Yeah. And that audience is out there, and we just need to find that audience because there's so much reality to be brought to the fore.
And the truth is to give those people courage, because if you don't say it, those people who need to hear it won't hear it. Mm-hmm. Right? So you need to say it and say it loud so that those who are in Texas, those who are in California, who needs to hear what James is saying, can like, oh my God, this dude is saying it so loud. Now I can hear him. I can find him. You know what I mean? So then, because what would happen is initially you might have a few, I guess, trolls, but the louder you keep on saying it and you stand, then you start to have people who are hearing like, yo, there's somebody called James Pinedo over there who's saying some stuff. You know what I mean? And I think that's what it is. I think but it's initially, it might be tough for you mentally in terms of trying to find, because jokes are hard, man. It's just like doing stand-up is kind of hard because it's not like a musician where you perform your first lyrics or like you produce a film that you know everybody likes, then everybody can watch it together. But I've done a set where I did one set one night, man, I killed. It was a very good 7-minute set. I did the same set like the following week. Boy, crickets. It was the coldest. It was like crickets, like nothing. I couldn't get nothing from anybody from the crowd. So it's a very humbling thing. So it's telling someone, even at that point, trust your gut and keep on trusting it, as hard as it is. But yeah.
Well, it's a good place to leave it there. Emeka, thank you again.
Thanks, the Pinedo Brothers. Peter, it's good to see you, man.
It's very good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you would leave us a like and a comment, we'd greatly appreciate it. Let us know what you thought. Like even if you hated it, just let us know what you thought. And Peter, thanks so much for hopping on board for this call. I hope there's a little bit change up. So thanks for being a good sport, and we're trying that because Emeka, this is not like our normal flow. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So Peter, because we're generally like sitting right next to each other, when we're doing this.
Wait, where do you guys live? Are you at home? Are you how far away are you guys from each other?
About 30 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
We'll give you the address when we stop recording. All right, everyone. I'm JP and my brother
Peter. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you next time.